Hello everybody and welcome to one more video on big units, and this time it is the Union Army for the Battle of Gettysburg, the famous battle of the 1st, 2nd and 3rd July 1863, and a pivotal battle in the American Civil War. This is also another very old project of mine, finished maybe 3-4 years ago with the last few brigades of the 12th Corps. And I also have the Confederate, which will be one of the next videos. Everything is done. In fact, only a few. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever do it, but there is still some reserve artillery. There's only one reserve artillery here. In fact, there are necessary 14 for the Union Army. The artillery for the Confederates is full. Is completely finished. But I don't know if I'll ever do it because in terms of game, we will not have a big involvement. So you have here the 7th Corps of the Union Army, led by this. It started to be very, very famous person, which is General Meade, of course. So you have here the first Corps here, one of the first Union Corps to enter the battle. In fact, the first units to enter the battle was these guys, Cavalry Division. Probably you will recognize him from the movie. I tried to make the commanders as close as possible to the portraits that I have of them, and also some close to some movies, which the movies are already trying to portray them as close as possible to the portraits of the real figures. So obviously you have here Buford, the cavalry commander that stopped General Heath, Confederates. So starting with all of them are dismounted. The rules that I use is Fire&Fury. So each stand is worth approximately 200 figures. The main book of rules is here. You have plenty of support also in the internet. There are regimental rules. This one is brigade level rules. There are other specific books for the eastern and western theaters of the American Civil War. The website is also very nice, and it is written by Rich Hazenauer. The rules are, I think, in my opinion, I've never played the game of Fire&Fury, but they look a little bit complex. It's not an easy thing. For instance, I'm used to rapid fire rules in World War II. They are much simpler. These ones are, not as easy. But I think it is a brigade level. It's also a multiplayer game. So with several people playing it, I think it must become a very, very attractive game. So let's get to the figures and then talk a little bit also about the buildings. By the way, this is not, of course, historical order. Even if the 1st Corps is here, then it is the 3rd, the 2nd Corps here, the 3rd, the 5th. Is it 5th? Let me just check. Sorry. Yeah, 5th Army. Then you have the 6th. You have the 11th. No. You have the 6th here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then you have the 11th and the 12th. And you have the 7 Corps of the Union Army. The buildings are in the approximate, how can I say? They're like this, you understand? I mean, they're not all, of course, bunched together, but they are more or less according to their orientation, to their sequence, if you want to go from north to south, from Gettysburg and from Holmes House over there, up to Devil's Den. So these are the main structures that you need for the Battle of Gettysburg. There are still a few farms that I will do in the future, but I mean, they're not that important. I mean, or at least they can be replaced by some other things that I have for Brandywine and things like that. But maybe I'll do still a few of them because I like to do these historical buildings of the United States history. One of the good things about American Civil War, as well as American of Independence War, is the sheer amount of information that you can find. It is incredible the amount of information. The United States is a relatively new country. It has a very short history, of course, but very intense, very brutal, in fact, very violent history. And this war is the most violent of them all. And it is treasured by the Americans. I remember reading magazines about buying those magazines when I was in my 20s and my 30s. American Civil War magazine, which was a monthly magazine. I don't know if it still exists. It was very good. There were others. I bought also plenty of books. Those Gettysburg glossy book by Mark Atkin, which gives plenty of information. Those 6 volumes of Osprey Order of Battle. Plenty of others about uniforms and things like that. Also about modeling American Civil War figures. There's an incredible plethora of information about the American Civil War. Also on the internet nowadays, you can find for instance, you can find details about virtually all houses, all regiments, all brigades, all commanders, if you want. I mean, it is a period that if you start to make it, you can be sure that you will find most of the information that you need. I remember also that there was even some TV programs on some American TV channels, regarding American Civil War, at least weekly or each 15 days, something like that, or once a month, something like that. There was some programs dedicated exclusively to the findings and things like that, archaeology of the American Civil War. So let's go to the miniatures. So most of the figures are plastic. There are also some irregular miniatures. The plastic brands are obviously Airfix, Italeri, Revell, Strelets. I think these are the ones. The metal figures by irregular miniatures are a minority. Most of it it's plastic. Also, plenty of artillery limbers by irregular miniatures also. A little bit everywhere, and paper flags, obviously, and that's it. A few details about the units. So as you can see, most of the figures are mixed. Most of the brands are mixed. You can see here, for instance, 2 equal to arms with 2 Eshi. Over there are Revell miniatures. I don't know if I told you about Revell at the beginning. I think so. You have some Strelets R over there. You can see the guy here in front by irregular miniatures. This in fact, this position is very important in the American Civil War. It was one of the most important marching positions, but unfortunately in plastic you can't find it very, very easily. Nowadays, Strelets apparently solved the issue. So this is let me check. This is the Doubledays, 3rd Division of the 1st Corps. So this is 2nd Division here. No, it's 1st Division, sorry, of Edgeworth. 2nd is here, sorry, and 1st is here, as you can see. This is, for instance, this. And then one of the good things about making the American Civil War is that sometimes you can break the blue, for instance, of the Union with some outstanding and very nice Zouave regiments, like, for instance, this 14th Brooklyn. In fact, the 14th Brooklyn, as in all files that you can see here, represents an entire brigade, because this is, as I told you, it's a brigade level game. So this is the 14th Brooklyn that came to the rescue of Buford. Together with the famous, of course, Iron Brigade over there that you can see. The man's from Michigan. Buford is there. The equivalent cavalry that can mount on the horses and fight in another day. I mean, Buford, after this battle was completely spent, so didn't do anything else for the rest of the 2 days of battle. Another thing that I try is to make let's try to see if I can focus. The corps officer and the divisional officer and some of the brigade officers as close as possible to reality. For that, I look in my books. I look on on the web to try to see if how the guy, if the guy had beard, if it was white, if it was long hair, if it was short hair, if it has mustache, etc., to try to portray that general. In this case, Newton, First Corps. He was the guy that replaced Reynolds, that was shot in the first few minutes of the battle when the First Corps arrived. So I try to do this as best I can. So artillery here for the First Corps. There's the commander, of course, here, Generalissimo, if you want to call it, the commander of the Union Army of the Potomac. Most of these figures are the guy on horse is Airfix, a very old Airfix, but the other ones are Strelets R. And obviously, you have here one of those stands from the Altai aircraft turned into a kind of diorama base and command base for General Meade, Meade's command and the commander of the Potomac Army. So let's go to the Second Army Corps of General Hancock. Hancock is also here. Figure from Strelets R. More figures from a little bit from everywhere. Eschi, Revell, plenty of stuff. More and more here. Another Zouave unit. And Hat Industries Hunter here also. I think I didn't mention it. It is the only box that Hat has for its Webb's. Oops, this is what? Sorry, let me place my glasses. Okay, it was just just some commercial that passed. Sorry, 72nd Pennsylvania, belonging to Webb's brigade and Gibbon's division, called the Philadelphia Brigade. Here they are, quite nice. These Hat Industries figures. More Revell over there, and then what is this? Hayes Division. You know, I finished this thing already a few years ago. On those days, I was quite keen on information, and it was quite. I had everything in my mind, but now, I mean, years are passing, so I don't remember everything. And more artillery here. A mix of Revell, a mix of Irregular Miniatures, eventually Italeri, some Airfix also, whatever. And then you enter here the Sickles army, the famous guy that advanced a little bit too much its lines, and his corps was completely overrun by the Confederates, which even came on its back because he didn't form a line that Meade wanted, the famous hook, so that his part of the hook became detached, and it was overrun by the Confederates. I think of Longstreet. Yeah, Longstreet was in front of him. And you have here one more Zouave unit, the 114th Pennsylvania, representing the Graham's Brigade. And then, of course, the Bird and Sharpshooters, which also belong to Sickles Corps. And then you have here General Humphrey's 2nd Division of the 3rd Corps. And then sometimes I do like this. Some brigades are marching, others are attacking, others are almost in melee, others are firing, the line of fire, well, whatever. Then you enter another corps, which is Sykes' 5th Army Corps, with the divisional commander next to him, which is General Barnes. Okay? And so more figures here, sometimes 3 figures, other time 4 per stand, mostly of them 4, as you can see. Those guys that look like they are in pajamas, in fact they are not. It's Weed's brigade, and it is 246 New York, representing Weed's brigade. Again, Hat Industries. Over there, and then there are the reserve Pennsylvania reservists with gray trousers. So as you can see, the north is not that boring to paint. Union Army has some all these Zouave units, these particularities about the blue uniform, like this reservists, for instance, gives, I think, a very, very entertaining painting and also some nice reading about all these issues. So more artillery here. Now let's go to the 6th Corps of who? Sedgwick. So it's here, probably it's 1st Division of General Wright. Okay, standing figures mostly. General House, 2nd Division. Here, again, some kind of brands. One more Zouave unit, even if it's blue, it becomes extremely beautiful figures, as you can see. It's Schuyler's Brigade and 23rd Pennsylvania Regiment representing Schuyler's Brigade. And then more of the same over there. More artillery here of the same kind. Sometimes you can do some very nice dioramas with it. You can change figures. You can make plenty of conversions. You can turn, for instance, engineering guys, like for instance these two here, that cavalry guy, also that cavalry guy over there, into artillerymen. Also this guy here, pointing the gun, is also engineer, transformed into artillery. Also cavalry guys over there turned into artillery drivers and things like that. Well, you enjoy a lot making this kind of armies, because the 6 or 7 brands that makes them, you can interchange them and have lots of fun with it. Now let's go to the 11th Army here. 11th Army is here. A little bit more of the same, as you can see. Sorry about the light. For instance, as you can see, for instance, in order to make this brigade, you need a lot of boxes, as you can imagine. So I spent some dozens of boxes of plastic here. I think this army is around maybe 2,000 miniatures. So 2,000 miniatures, 40 to 50 boxes probably of 1/72 scale figures. So last brigade is Slocum's Corps. Slocum's 12th Corps. Here enter plenty of Strelets figures. Then you have here the guys from Culp's Hill, for instance. You have William's 1st Division of the 12th Corps. And a particularity, for instance, I made this brigade, which is McDougall Brigade. Let me try to see if I wrote. It's a guy from Connecticut. They're here. I placed them like this because they were at Culp's Hill, and at Culp's Hill there was some they made some breastworks out of the trees and things like that, and they fought behind it. They stopped the Confederates. Still pictures of that place, how it stayed after the battle. It was incredible. And so I made each stand behind these hasty breastworks, which makes, I think, the unit very interesting. And finally, 2 more brigades over there. Some of them, for instance, are very long, as you can see. Others are small due to casualties, of course. Mostly. And more artillery here for the last 2 corps. Now a little bit up for the houses, and for the everything is scratch built. I made all these houses from scratch. For instance, these ones are Portuguese houses repainted, a little bit to look like American houses. Scratch built, okay. These 2 here. That one is a paper house, and then all the others are card. So you see Holmes' house over there. My idea for construction is to build the thing and then place everything out, all windows out. Much easier to paint like this, and then black paint, and then dry brushing main colors. It becomes at least recognizable. Then you have here, of course, an essential of the battle. You see here the college, the Gettysburg College here. Quite a large piece. What I do also is diminishing the number of floors, for instance, to make a smaller thing. You see here the famous seminary, of course, that Buford defended its place from. He was in fact on top of that kinder egg that I used as a cupola. You see here Lee's first headquarters. He is the second. Let me check. This is Leicester House, second headquarters, and this one is Thompson House, exactly. You see here, for instance, McLean's farm. In fact, I should not have done it like this because it occupies a lot of space, but well, even so, it stayed nice, I think. It's a nice piece of kit, if I can call it. The cemetery arch, of course, another famous farm, which I need to remember what it is. Macpherson's barn, Kodori's house over there, famous because Pickett Division on the third day would pass through it, in fact, or pass by it, maybe. What is this? This is Bliss Farm and Bryan House, if I'm not mistaken, this one. Yeah, it was the last one I've made. Yeah, already many moons ago. And of course, you have Helm's Deep here. Helm's Deep, sorry, it looks like Helm's Deep. In fact, I have Helm's Deep here. Sorry, it is dismounted over there, as you can see. As it is grey, I looked at it and it looked like Helm's Deep. And this, of course, Devil's Den. It's also a nice piece. And you can, I try to, of course, in a smaller scale, I try to represent even the shape of the rocks that were defended by the Union Army. And by the way, let me show you even some commanders. Forget to show you. There must be. Where's Chamberlain? I have Chamberlain somewhere from the famous 20th Maine. He was belonging to which corps? Let me try to see if I. Yeah, here he is. Yeah. So he is on the 5th Army Corps of General Sykes. Yeah. Vincent Brigade, obviously. And here he is, 20th Maine. Even if it is Vincent's Brigade, it is represented here by 20th Maine of Chamberlain. Okay. Also, his brother is next to him. Okay. So these are the famous heroes of Little Round Top, of course. And I think everything is shown. I hope you have enjoyed. And next time, with the same buildings, I'm going to place the Confederate Army. But bear with me a little bit, because placing all this stuff inside the shelves, it's not going to be easy. So I'll need a few days, and then I'm going to be off for a week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it in the next few days or only after coming from a week off. Okay, let's see what I can do. Hope you have enjoyed. Thank you so much. Sorry for the Helm's Deep thing. It was just a quick remark. And for the lovers of fantasy, of course, it was a high moment. I hope. So, hope you have enjoyed, and see you soon, and see you next with another big unit army, probably the Confederate Army for Gettysburg. Bye bye.